Good morning, dear participants, and welcome to the day 4 of the 5-day faculty development program on heritage management, a business perspective, jointly organized by St. Joseph's College, Trichy and Atal Academy. Let us begin this day by invoking God's blessing through a prayer song.
Lord, you seem so far away, a million miles or more it feels today. And though I haven't lost my faith, I must confess right now that it's hard for me to pray. But I don't know what to say, and I don't know where to start. But as you give the grace, with all that's in my heart, I will sing, yes, I will pray. Even in my darkest hour, through the sorrow and the pain, I will sing, I will pray. Lift my hands to honor you, because your word is true, I will sing.
Thank you. Dear participants, all of us here have been attending this faculty development program with eagerness, interest, and inspiration to enhance our expertise in heritage management. The last 3 days, containing 9 valuable technical sessions, have inspired us a lot, had triggered our interest towards the subject. We firmly believe that the same would go on for the next 2 days as well. Before moving into today's proceedings, let us have a short recap on yesterday's session. The day 3 began with technical session 7, which was focused on recent archaeological excavation in Tamil Nadu by Dr. C. Thomas, Associate Professor, retired, Department of History, Periyar EVR College, Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu. The technical session 8 centered over management guidelines for cultural heritage sites by Dr. Aditya Prakash Kant, Assistant Professor, Center for Heritage Management, Ahmedabad University, Gujarat. The technical session 9 was delivered by Dr. Annamale, Senior Consultant and Clinical Head at Reela Institute and Medical Center, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. With this, we shall gladly unfold today's proceedings. The technical session 9 is entitled as Institutional Heritage, Challenges in Preservation, case study of Sir Newton Museum and Rapnet Herbarium. For this session, we have a proficient administrator, knowledgeable historian, scholarly researcher, and a brilliant academician is none other than Reverend Dr. M. Arakyasamy Xavier, SJ, Principal and Associate Professor in History, St. Joseph's College, Trichy, Tamil Nadu. Reverend Dr. Arakyasamy Xavier, SJ, possesses the most impressive academic qualification, having earned gold medals in his undergraduation and post-graduation degree and university first rank in MPhil. Later, he was awarded UGC grant FDP fellowship for the PhD, and the thesis was highly commended. His area of interest are modern Indian social history, American history, and historiography. He owns about 20 years of rich teaching and research experience. Reverend Dr. Arakyasamy Xavier, SJ, has held several apex administrative positions at prominent Jesuit higher educational institutions in Tamil Nadu, such as Principal of Loyola College, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, Vice Principal, Dean, and Head of the Department of History at St. Joseph's College, Trichy, Secretary and Vice Principal at Arulanandar College, Madurai, Tamil Nadu, besides being entrusted with other positions like Sports and Games Coordinator and Hostel Director. Under his able leadership, St. Joseph's College, Trichy was re-accredited with A++ grade by NAC, being the first institution to reach such height in the 4th cycle of assessment. Father has been the member of prominent academic bodies like Assessor in NAC peer team since 2019, Expert Evaluation Member for College with Potential for Excellence nominated by UGC, Member of Academic Council at various universities, Member of Board of Studies, and Life Member of South Indian History Congress since 2003. Apart from these meritorious records, Father has also published 9 books as author and 2 as co-authors, 38 research publications in various acclaimed national and international journals. Father has also organized 9 conferences. He has visited 14 countries as academic visits, including Canada, USA, Italy, Austria, Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, France, England, Spain, Sri Lanka, Taiwan, Thailand, and Malaysia. With these enormous records and achievements, we consent Father Arakyasamy Xavier, SJ, Principal and Associate Professor in History, St. Joseph's College, as most relevant speaker to explore on institutional heritage, challenges in preservation, a case study of Sir Newton Museum and Rapnet Herbarium. Without much delay and with extreme excitement, I now invite Reverend Dr. Arakyasamy Xavier, SJ, to take up this session. Welcome, Father.
Thank you. My dear Dr. Praveen Drai, the head of the Department of the Commerce, and my dear professors, organizing secretaries, My dear learned participants, good morning to you all. I'm very happy to be with you to share my thoughts on institutional heritage, challenges in preservation, a case study of Newton Natural History Museum of our college. Before that, I would like to appreciate the Department of Commerce for taking a lot of efforts in organizing this 5-day national level faculty development program on heritage management, a business perspective. With AICTE training and learning academy. We are very fortunate to have this program to be conducted from our college, to be organized by the Commerce Department, headed by Dr. Praveen Trai. I would like to appreciate them and congratulate them. I also would like to thank the Atal Academy, which has sponsored this program, which has so much trust in us in the Department of Commerce for sponsoring this program. My dear learned participants, already you have listened to many people. The Department of Commerce of our college has organized this program by inviting so many scholars. As you would have noticed, I would have listened to them, and particularly on various topics, scholars from various states, they've shared their expertise, and of course they are going to share their wisdom, their expertise today and tomorrow. I am very happy to be with you to present this case study on the topic institutional heritage, challenges in preservation. That is about our Newton Natural History Museum of our college. My dear participants, I am going to talk about the Newton Natural History Museum, which we have here in our college. Now, my area of topic would be on these subtitles: introduction, importance of heritage, overview of St. Joseph's College. Now, St. Joseph's College also is a special heritage college awarded by the UGC with few lakhs of rupees, of course 1.25 lakh rupees, and we also have lot of heritage buildings, and we have celebrated 175-year celebrations, that is Dodron's bicentennial celebrations. Some special events, you are going to look at it and you will come to understand the museum, the Newton Museum, which houses a lot of things, artifacts, and of course other rare species too. You also will look at some slides wherein you will see unique collection of Newton Natural History Museum. And of course, we also will be discussing the challenges in preservation and afterwards conclusion too. And my dear learned participants, already you must have learned from other scholars about the heritage management. The topic is new, heritage management, a business perspective. I think not many people think from this point of view on heritage management. Of course, commerce people talk, discuss, and teach on business perspective, but it is a unique topic that we are going to learn, and we have learned from the resource persons on heritage management, how we are going to manage heritage sites, other heritage areas. Now, you also know the heritage meaning of heritage. That is, features belonging to the culture of a particular society, such as traditions, languages, or buildings that were created in the past and still have historical importance. You know, this is a very familiar meaning. So some scholars also would have discussed this. So I pass it and we will go to the next one. Heritage also has two meanings. That is, heritage as a noun and of course as an adjective. What does it mean? Something that is handed down from the past as a tradition, a national heritage of honor, pride, and courage. You know, of course, heritage, we have national heritage in terms of honor, pride, and courage. And of course, second thing, something that comes or belongs to one by reason of birth and inherited lot or portion. This belongs to the property or something else. Fine. Now, what do we mean by heritage as an adjective? Now, noting or relating to a product, a place, etc., that evokes a nostalgic sense of tradition or history. My dear learned participants, we would have visited many heritage sites, old sites, ancient buildings, ancient sites, and we get some nostalgic sense of a tradition. For example, here in TamilNadu, yesterday you would have visited, you would have listened to Dr. Thomas, who would have talked about the Kiladi expeditions, excavations. And there, when you go there, you get a nostalgic sense of tradition of our history. Like that, when you go to Ajanta or Ellora in Maharashtra, you get that feeling. Of course, when you visit Taj Mahal, you get that nostalgic sense of tradition or history, or Red Fort for that matter. So like this, when you visit some historical places, you get this feeling that is also heritage. Now, what is the importance of heritage? A monument is a type of structure that was explicitly created to commemorate a person or an event, or which has come relevant to a special group as a part of their remembrance of historical times or cultural heritage due to its artistic, historical, political, technological, or architectural importance. Okay. My dear learned participants, now, see, importance is given to the artistic aspect or historical aspect or political aspect or technical aspect or also architectural importance. For example, you visit a museum. For example, I visited museum in Italy, in Rome, or in France. I visited Louvre Museum in France. I see artistic pieces there. So that is very, very important. Now, that is cultural heritage. And of course, historical, you know, political. For example, you visit Jallianwala Bagh. So you get that political, cultural, political heritage feeling. And of course, technical, also Visvesvaraya Museum in Bangalore, or architectural. When you visit Puri Temple, or here in Srirangam Temple, or Madurai Meenakshi Amman Temple, you get a lot of architectural sculptures, all those things. There you get importance. Okay. Now, for example, now I've given you some examples of monuments, statues, memorials, particularly war memorials, historical buildings, archaeological sites, and cultural assets. You know, statues. We have a number of statues in every city, in every place, in every even village. So these are important monuments. War memorials. In some places, they've constructed memorials in commemoration of war. And we have historical buildings. In many places, you see historical buildings. For example, temples or churches or mosques or even secular building. For example, Madras High Court or Delhi. In Delhi, we have Supreme Court. These are historical buildings. So a number of buildings are there. Archaeological sites, Mohenjo-daro sites are there. So these are archaeological sites. They also are very, very important in terms of heritage. And cultural aspects. Each cultural group has got its own cultural aspects. Those cultural aspects also are very, very important assets to our society, to that particular society. For example, Parsi society, or for example, Christian society, or for example, Hindu groups, or for example, Muslim groups, communities. So all these communities have got their own cultural assets. Those cultural assets are also monuments in terms of the tradition, their richness. So these are some of the things. Now, I would like to come to St. Joseph's College, Trichy. In that way, our college, St. Joseph's College, a 177-year-old young college, is a heritage college. That is why we were awarded with a special heritage college status. Now, it was founded at Nagapattinam, a place called Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu, with one student in 1844 by the French Jesuits. The French Jesuits, when they came here to work in this land, they started this college with one student. Now we have more than 7,000 students and with 25 departments. Even before the establishment of the University of Madras in 1858, this college was started in 1844, which means the concept of university system came into existence here in India even before the university system in India came here. That is, as you all know, in 1858, there were 3 universities started: University of Madras, University of Calcutta, like that. So before that university system, our college was started. Later, this college was shifted to this place in 1883 for various reasons. Now, as you all know, the Jesuits are one among the many religious orders of the Catholic Church dedicated exclusively to the cause of higher education at a global level. You see, at the global level, we've got number of universities, Jesuit universities, where lakhs, millions of students are formed. So I would like to mention that aspect also. Now, this from the inception of the college, now I have given an overview. I'm going to talk a little. Now, 1844, we established. 1845, 74 students, including 40 Indians on its roll. The subjects taught were Greek, Latin, Tamil, French, and English, besides geometry and algebra. My dear participants, though they taught Greek and Latin, they also start teaching Tamil, that is a local language, and of course English. So they wanted to give the secular education to the students. 1862, it was affiliated to the Madras University, and of course offered matriculation intermediary called FA in those days, and later BA degree courses too. And when the college was shifted here, the construction of college church started and went up to May 1896 under the directions of Dhanam Savarimuthu, skilled masonry from Tirunelveli, who was groomed by Father Fosel and Sell, directed the construction. And the college was completed in 1896. And in the same year, the college introduced symphony orchestra band, which we have even today. So which is the college band is more than 120 years old. Now, 1906, we introduced science programs. 1907, construction of two majestic buildings, as you see here. You will be looking at in slides the buildings of Lawley Hall and Digby Hall. And later, honors programs were started in physics, mathematics, economics, and history. And later, some construction activities were held where they constructed hostels and other buildings, and of course, along with the playground. And 1944-45, the college celebrated the centenary celebrations. 1948, we also started Commerce Department. 1969, post-centenary silver jubilee celebrations, of course. Then 73, the inception of evening college. It was called once upon a time, it was evening college. Now we call it shift 2. Now 77, we faced unprecedented floods, which destroyed 40,000 volumes of books here in our library. It was a sad event. And of course, it was those volumes could not be replaced because we had many rare books in the library and we were not able to recover them. And in 1978, the college was awarded with autonomous status from the UGC. And of course, it was affiliated then to the University of Madras. Then later, our college was one of the first colleges to get autonomy from the UGC. 1982, a college was affiliated to the parent university, present parent university, that is Bharatidasan University. And 1985, the outreach program, the extension program, Shepherd, was instituted. This is the first of its kind in the nation among the colleges that was very much appreciated by the UGC and other bodies. And of course, 94 sesquicentenary celebrations and 2000 NAC accredited the college with the coveted 5-star status. Now 2004, we got the college with potential for excellence by the UGC, and of course, in 2006, awarded with A+ status by the NAC in the second cycle, and Arupe building, library building also was constructed. 2012, we were awarded in the third cycle, and a novel idea of schools of excellence also was introduced. 14, college with potential for excellence also was awarded second time. And 2019, we were awarded with A++ status by the NAC in the fourth cycle. So these are some of the unique features of our college. Now, I would like to present to you how our college became a special heritage college status. So how we were able to get this status. And my dear learned participants, I would like to mention one thing, that SJC is the only college in the southern region of UGC to be awarded with the special heritage status. So these are some of the media clippings which were published at that time from the Hindu and other newspapers. You can have a look at it. Now, these are some heritage characteristics, dimensions. I would like to highlight 4 aspects. Of course, many aspects are there, but I would like to highlight 4 aspects. As you see here in this slide, we have intellectual dimension, physical dimension, cultural dimension, and infrastructural dimension too. Or you can say architectural dimension. Now, coming to the intellectual dimensions of the special heritage status, I would like to highlight these points. My dear learned participants, I would like to inform you, share it with you that our library is one of the best libraries in South India with 1,77,620 volumes of books with 257 periodicals. And of course, we have 4,378 rare books. So our library is one of the prides of our college. We are proud of our college library, Central Library. Of course, it started in 1909 with just 9,000 volumes. Now we have got so much volumes of books preserved well. We have got a whole building called Arupe Central Library. We also preserve rare Tamil manuscripts and palm leaves. The first edition of Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary of Current English and the first copies of many international periodicals are there in the library, preserved. Books of archival value written in Latin, Greek, Hindi, Sanskrit, French, and German also are preserved. 90 volumes of the collected works of Mahatma Gandhi are preserved in the library, along with writings of Adolf Hitler and Winston Churchill and other leaders. All those rare books are waterproofed with plastic jacket. You see some of the rare books in the slide from the top. Very few I've just given here for your now coming to the physical dimension. I would like to highlight one physical dimension. Of course, we will look at other physical dimensions in the form of slides, in the form of pictures. Now here, one physical dimension is our Newton Museum. It is a well-known private museum of natural history. As you all know, I will be discussing it a little later. It is a private museum. Archival materials dated even before 1884 is preserved there. In the Palani Hills, the Jesuit pioneers discovered dolmens and produced a scientific publication of Anglad and Newton, 1928. All those things are kept there. You see some of the pictures here in this slide. We also have anthropological collections. For example, collections from megalithic Stone Age between 5,000 to 2000 BC. Some precious stones are there. Now we also have some collections, some specimens from South Indian Iron Age, that is from 700 BC to 500 AD, including dolmens, tombs of the lower Palani Hills. And inside the museum, you have 100 snakes, 35 lizards, and 25 species of frogs are preserved. In the museum, you could see coins and currencies of different countries, including ancient India. And 1,000 specimens of insects are preserved here. You'll be surprised to see when you come here to the museum to see 209 species of butterflies. Different types of butterflies are kept here, preserved here, along with 250 specimens of moths and rare and diverse taxonomically new insects are preserved too. So these are some of the physical dimensions of herbarium. We also have got a wonderful herbarium which is internationally acclaimed. Since I will not have time, I did not take up that topic. I'm concentrating only on the Newton Museum. I'm not going into the herbarium. That is why just I would like to give you a picture about herbarium too. So in this Rabinet herbarium, we have got 3 lakh processed plant specimens of historical value. Imagine 3 lakh processed plant specimens. The uniqueness of Rabinet herbarium lies in its first ever publication of TamilNadu state flora. It is a really treasure house for the botanists, for the people who are interested in natural history, for the people who are interested in biodiversity. Many people come here for research and to have a look at it. As an international herbarium acknowledged by IAPT, International Association of Plant Taxonomy, it has collaboration with leading herbaria such as Royal Botanical Garden and Kew Garden, London. You see here and down in the slide just below the publications of the herbarium. Hundreds of publications are there. Now coming to the cultural dimensions, as already I mentioned, we have a wonderful, well-groomed band, music band, that is called the Congolese Symphony Orchestra Band, which was established in 1896-98. It was Reverend Father Congolese, a French missionary. He started this symphony orchestra, this band. Now it is 119-year-old. So this band serves as a conservatory which prepares students for a professional career in music. For example, many of our old students are in the Navy. It draws on a long tradition of innovative study made in symphony music. When you come here, you can see number of variety of musical instruments, very old instruments. All of them are preserved here in the college. Now coming to the another aspect of the cultural dimension, we have got the sports and games from 1844. These many sports areas, courts are here, and of course are all preserved, and still it is maintained very well. So coming to the infrastructural dimension, my dear participants, these are some of the buildings which are of architectural value. You see the buildings which are more than 100 years old, built in the French architecture. You will see each building later in a separate slide. Now, the outcome of the heritage status, what we expected. These are some of the outcomes which we projected. First, educating the young minds about their role and responsibility in preserving the heritage sites and structures. That is sensitization program. And the preservation aspect, propagating the importance of protecting and preserving priceless archival materials, historic science instruments, and artifacts among general public. So this is the aspect which every one of us have to take it up. And that's what our college does. We are preserving, and we also sensitize this aspect among the students, among the youth, and of course among the public too. Enabling national and international scholars to have access to the rare books and old manuscripts available in the library. That is from the point of view of digitization. Coming to the expansion, my dear participants, we have a wonderful museum, but the museum which we have is not sufficient for the artifacts of the natural history and of course other important historical objects to house. So availability of enhanced space for better preservation of artifacts, specimens, and other rare collections is an ideal condition. And we aimed at that. We are looking for that. And of course, we also have worked to great extent. Coming to the renovation aspect, substantial increase in the longevity of the buildings of heritage nature, namely Lolly Hall and Inigo Block, and of course the museum building too. Now we have renovated fully the museum, Newton Museum, and also we have constructed one more floor. Organizing live show on the college legacy to educate the general public about its contributions to nation building. So this also is in the pipeline. We are at it. Now you can see the St. Joseph's College heritage buildings. You see on the top, Arupe Library is there. Below, you have the Inigo Block, which is one of the classrooms buildings. Now this is the Jesuit residence, once again built in the European architecture. The same building. Now this is Lolly Hall, one of the prominent halls in those days, even now. So this is the inside view of the Lolly Hall. Once again, the library building. So this is our church, which is constructed in Gothic model, Gothic architecture. You see the inner view of the church. You could see the Gothic style here inside, the walls, the arches, all those architectural aspects here inside. Beautifully constructed 130 years ago. This is another slide of the inner view. Now this is once again Inigo block, where we have got a lot of classrooms, the same building from different angle. Now this is museum. This is the place where we have kept all the natural history artifacts and rare specimens. This building was renovated. Yeah, this is the building. You also will see some of the slides later inside. This is a physics block, one of the ancient building. So it is also called Digby Hall. In this building only, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam studied for 3 years. And of course, it has produced hundreds of learned people and shining stars of our alumni. This is once again physics building. So this is chemistry building. The whole chemistry department is housed here. This was also renovated a few years ago. This is botany building. Now, we also celebrated 175th year celebrations 2 years back. That is Dodran's bicentennial year celebrations. I would like to show some of the special events to you as part of this lecture so that you will get an idea about our college. This is the marathon session run for your favorite teacher. Marathon we had. Or after 10 minutes also. After 10 minutes. Up to 11:30 I can go. Up to 10:30. 11 break. I mean. This is an exhibition which our students and our faculty, non-teaching friends did for the Dodran's bicentennial celebrations. So we also conducted an international colloquium in this hall. Now, my dear participants, I would like to come to some of the aspects of the best heritage sites in Tamil Nadu, so that you will understand the importance of the special heritage status here. And of course, you will understand the museum better. Now we have got some of the UNESCO recognized heritage sites in Tamil Nadu. Some may not know, that is why I would like to mention it here. Just mention it here, and afterwards we'll go to the next topic. This is temple in Kumbakonam. This was also recognized by the UNESCO. And of course, Pragadiswara temple at Tanjavur. Kangaikonda Cholapuram at Jayangondam. So these are all recognized by the UNESCO for their cultural and architectural importance. So this is monuments at Mahabalipuram. Wonderful sculptures are housed here. You can see. Now Nilgiri Mountain Railway also was recognized. Western Ghats we have here in Tamil Nadu. This is also one of the heritage sites recognized by the UNESCO. Now other places we have Sri Meenakshi Temple, Madurai, as I told you, and of course Vivekananda Rock Memorial at Kanyakumari and Thiruvalluvar statue in the same place. Now in Trichy, now we are coming back to Trichy. Trichy, we have got a wonderful temple, beautiful temple, which has got wonderful sculptures in Srirangam Island, a river island situated within the city of Trichy in Tamil Nadu in India. It is formed by the river of Kaveri and the Kollidam, a tributary of Kaveri. So in this place, we have this important heritage sites. And our college is very situated is close to this place. And this Rockport temple is just opposite to our college. Of course, Kalanai Dam, one of the oldest dams in India, is some 20 kilometers from here. And we are coming to our place, that is the St. Joseph's College Church and now our museum. So why I wanted to show you all those things in the background of those heritage sites, it is better that you would understand our museum in a better way. Now I would like to give you, before get to the museum, Newton Museum, I also would like to highlight some of the aspects of museum, particularly the meaning, significance. Then only we will understand the objects in the museum better. And of course, you also will understand the point which we are going to discuss in the preservation aspects. Now, the etymology of the museum. The word museum has classical origins. In its Greek form, museon is meant seat of the muses and designated a philosophical institution or a place of contemplation. In the ancient Greeks worshipped 9 sister goddesses, each of whom was called a musa. In English, we now refer to them as the muses. The Greeks believed that each muse was the goddess of a particular art or science. A place that was dedicated to these goddesses and to the arts and sciences for which they stood was called a museum. So you get an idea about the etymology. Now, the origin of the word comes from Greek. And of course, later it came to Latin and to English. So originally, it was meant to a place for goddesses. And later, it was referred to the place of arts and science. All those things you have just looked at. Now, the Greek museum became museum in Latin, from which it was borrowed into English about 300 years ago. Use of the Latin derivation museum appears to have been restricted in Roman times, mainly to the places of philosophical discussions. My dear friends, so originally in Latin, it was restricted only to a place of philosophical discussion. So a museum was meant to have philosophical discussions. The later it was developed. The great museum at Alexandria, founded by Ptolemy I, early in the 3rd century BC, with its college of scholars and its library, was more a prototype university than an institution to preserve and interpret material aspects of the heritage. So, as we understand from history, from the great museum at Alexandria in Egypt, which was founded by Ptolemy. So originally, it was a place of scholars, and it was a place where historical books were kept, volumes were kept, and from that word, it was derived. The word museum was revived in the 15th century Europe to describe collection of Lorenzo de Medici in Florence. But the term conveyed the concept of comprehensive rather than denoting a building. And later, by the 17th century, museum was being used in Europe to describe collections of curiosities. Now, what is the role of the museum? I would like to draw your attention, my dear scholars. The role of museum, Thomas Campbell clearly says, nothing replaces the authenticity of the object presented with passionate scholarship, bringing people face to face with our objects is a way of bringing them face to face with people across time, across space, whose lives may have been different from our own, but who, like us, have hopes and dreams, frustrations and achievements in their lives. So in other words, when you go to museum, when you see the objects, when you look at the objects, you get the same feelings of the people at that time. And practically you have a discussion with them. You are speaking to them, and you are going back to that historical time and space. You are going back to that historical situation. That is what he says. So a museum is an important place where you get a historical sense. Now, the traditional role of museums is to collect objects and materials of cultural, religious, and historical importance, and of course, preserve them for future, and also do research and surely present them to the public for the purpose of education and enjoyment. So here 4 points are there. I would like to emphasize first and the fourth one. First thing, we collect objects and preserve them. Secondly, we also present them to the public for the purpose of education. It educates people, societies, communities. See, the early museums were elitistic, uninspiring, and aloof, as they were encouraged only the educated people to visit them. As you all know, the early museum were such, but later it developed. Now, the purpose of modern museums is this: to collect, preserve, interpret, and display items of artistic and cultural and scientific significance for the education of the public. So, my dear scholars, the very, very important point is museums' work, or the purpose is to collect, preserve, and interpret. So these are the important aspects. So museum reflects and influences social change, whether economical or scientific or cultural. So that aspect also is there. And of course, other aspects are given here. You can go through it. So museums also promote unity in the society because they ensure understanding and appreciation for various groups and cultures. When you visit museums in other places, you start appreciating them, you start understanding them, and thus we promote unity in society. So museums also is part of education. That is how we as scholars or as teachers should do. For future generation to understand and appreciate their history, we have to educate the present students. So museums do that. So need to work on how educational resources that are available in the museum can be integrated into the curriculum. This aspect we have to do. And of course, educational visits to museums are developed and should be developed and encouraged to cater for all interest groups. So these are the types of museums. Of course, we will discuss it after a short break.
Thank you, Reverend Father. It was really a wonderful session so far. So, dear participants, Father has beautifully taken us over through the concepts and the emergence of the terms heritage, museum, and so on. He has also explained about the heritage status of St. Joseph's College and other heritage sites located in and around Tiruchirappalli. So this has given us a greater inspiration, and we have come across several important terms like intelligent dimensions, physical dimensions, and cultural dimensions. If you have any sort of observations here, you can post them in the chat box, which will be answered by the resource person at the end of the session. You can think of your questions and observation, and it can be posted, which will be definitely answered at the end of the session. And dear participants, I would like to remind you that we are in the day 4 of this faculty development program organized by St. Joseph's College and Atal Academy jointly. And this is the technical session 10. And after this session, the technical session 11 will be handled by Dr. I.C. Gupta. Dr. I.C. Gupta is former Dean of Management and Tourism from DA University and Professor Emeritus Oriental University, Indore. He'll be speaking on managing over tourism at heritage sites in India. And the technical session 12 will focus on life skills by Reverend Dr. Emmanuel Arakim, SJ, Head Department of Counseling Psychology, St. Joseph's College, Trichy. Participant, it's a kind reminder to you all that each session will have attendance link posted in the chat box. As you know very well, you are expected to fill this attendance link within 15 minutes. We find most of the participants filling it on time. There are very few handful of participants who are requesting further. We understand your connectivity issues and other stuff like that, but still we would insist you to fill in the attendance form within 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, the link will be closed. So we are doing this as a instruction given by the Atal Academy. And dear participants, as I told you earlier, you can post your questions in the chat box. Yes, I could find a few questions in the chat box. I have also received direct questions. You can also use the WhatsApp group available for your interaction. All the questions will be asked to the resource person and it will be answered at the end of the session. So we are going to resume the session shortly. Yes, now once again, I invite our resource person to continue his session. Welcome back, Father.
Yeah, thank you. Dear learned participants, now we are moving on to the next topic, that is types of museum. You have got number of museums here. Types are here. Aerospace museums, agricultural museum, archaeological museums, art museums, chocolate museums, computer museums, ethnic museums, jail and prison museums, music museums, natural history museum, open air museums, religious museums, science museums, sports museums, etc., etc. So we have got these many types. You can stop video. Now, in the 20th century, we have got a period of astounding achievements for museums. As you know, the growth in the 20th century was great. Now, European colonial influence was responsible for the appearance of museum elsewhere too. By the early 19th century, the granting of public access to formerly private collections had become more common. So now people started from the 19th century onwards to collect the rare specimens and to house them in a special place that is called museum. What followed for approximately the next 100 years was the founding by the regional and national authorities throughout the world of museums expressly in interest for the public good. The years immediately following World War II were a period of remarkable achievements for museums. My dear friends, when you go to Europe, you will see some war museums, particularly World War II. In Germany, you have in few places, you've got wonderful museums. So this was reflected both in international and national policy and in the individual museums as they responded to a rapidly changing, better and educated society. Now, many sites of scientifically significance have been preserved, interpreted, sometimes under the aegis of a national park services. And historic sites and buildings have been restored. The later sometimes being used as museums. And according to the museums of the world, there are about 55,000 museums in 202 countries. An International Council of Museums comprises 30,000 members in 137 countries. Now, in Indian universities and colleges, also some universities and colleges, they have got museums. For example, Maharaja College in Ernakulam, they've got Zoology Museum, which was started in 1874, and it is still in operation. And of course, our museum and Museum of the School of Plant Morphology at Meerut College, Botany Museum of Christ Church College in Kanpur, Central College Museum in Bengaluru. So all these museums in educational institutions are known, well known. Now, these are some of the other museums. You can have a look at it. So it is thus that there is a large accumulation of natural history objects in our country, and perhaps only a fraction of it is on display in museums for public viewing and study of reflective academic institutions. My dear learned participants, we will not be able to collect all the natural history objects or artifacts. It is only a fraction. That's what we are doing. We'll be able to do that. And surely it is for the public consumption. Now coming to our museum, Newton Museum of Natural History, and I would like to give you a historical perspective and how it developed. You will see. So this is the museum building. So this is the some historical information which is given here. So museum of our college is the only one which can boast of a museum of this description. So it was first established in 1881 by Reverend Father Castell at St. Joseph's College campus in Nagapattinam itself. And later it was shifted to this place, to present place, that is Tiruchirappalli. Now, first, it was housed on the first floor of old school building. And later it was shifted to Digby Hall, currently physics building. And when it expanded, it was placed in the present building in 1920. It is a really majestically, architecturally structured building where we have got the present building. So the museum contains natural treasures accumulated by successive generations of European Jesuit professors, students, and the public too. It owes to its origin to the venerable professors of physics like Reverend Father Horner, and to a former professor of philosophy, Reverend Father Castell. So the enthusiasm kindled by these learned men is still kept alive today by the budding young researchers too. Now these are the chief curators of the museum. I would like to present some pictures of the inner view of the museum. So these are some of the valuable treasures which we have inside the museum. The burial urn of the ancient people in TamilNadu. Elephant teeth and other important things. So some of the unique collections in Newton Natural History Museums are. Now, the museum contains a good collection of Indian Lepidoptera, birds, snakes, stones, shells, and various other objects such as stamps and coins. You've got variety of good artifacts and collection. So these are some of the collections inside the museum. So this is the autograph letter of Queen Victoria. As we have already looked at this picture, this slide, once again, I would like to show it to you. Now our museum also holds a precious collections of geological materials of rocks, minerals, and fossils from South India and Europe. It also houses historical collections such as prehistoric stones, hatchets, saws, swords, lances, and war weapons. There are also interesting antiques like two bricks from 650 BCE in Babylon. A Roman lamp is there. Stone arrowheads that are 2000 years old are also kept here inside. Two pieces of wood from the London Bridge burnt in 1230 AD. Of course, as you noticed, an autograph letter of Queen Victoria and many others are preserved there. These are some of the specimens which are kept there inside the museum. Some of the precious stones of the ancient period. War weapons are kept or preserved. Some important collections like maritime and freshwater organisms represented sponges, corals, starfish, vertebrate fishes, shells from India and abroad, crabs, centipedes, spiders, scorpions, good collection of larger mammals like bison, a bear cub, an otter, flying foxes, monkeys, and other things are kept. So all these special collections were collected by Father Lay and Carlos and Wifat. These are all very rare birds which we have here, which are preserved. The varieties of butterflies and other insects, moths. These are bones of snakes. Now, you have seen the precious collections in the museum, in our museum. Now, what are the challenges in preservation? Of course, we have got a few challenges. First one is finance. Maintaining a museum in an educational institution is a big challenge. You all know. Maintaining a century-old heritage structure itself is a very big challenge. For example, renovation or major regular maintenance work in heritage structure is a big challenge. Even if you want to make a small modification in the structure, you have to have a lot of procedure. First of all, you have to get the permission from the ASI, and of course, we have to keep the old model, and we should not damage the existing building. All those things are there. It's a really very big challenge. And of course, with the help of the UGC, we were able to do a little bit, but the management contributed a lot. few crore rupees we spent on renovation. And of course, for regular maintenance also we are spending. Maintaining the rare historical artifacts and rare species in natural history is another challenge in this climatic condition. Because no regular government or private funding for development or even appointing a regular curator or staff. It is very, very difficult for us. Now we are not able to find out a curator. No finance for development or new innovation or upgradation. For example, digitization or documentation in e-form or creating audio facility for the visitors. Like when you go to other European museums, bigger museums, they supply you with the audio gadgets with which you can listen to the description which are given about the objects which are given, which are placed there in the museum. For example, Louvre Museum, or even in Rome, the biggest museums, they supply you with the audio gadgets. Like that, we have to prepare, but it needs so much finance. And another important challenge is space. Space is another problem for so much species and artifacts are kept there. We would like it is better that we have one more floor, but it's not possible. Now it is a private museum run by an educational institution, a service organization for the benefit of the public. So we also don't collect any fees as such, and that way also we find it difficult. And of course, educating the public through museums has its own problems. When they come there, they touch sometimes intentionally or unintentionally, they damage the objects. Of course, as I said, availability of a qualified curator with scientific knowledge and technical expertise in such fields is another big challenge, since we do not have such a person. Yet another challenge is dissemination of this museum through digitalization. So these are some of the institutional challenges, and of course, other hazards are there. I would like to mention here. What are the other challenges or hazards? Light. Too much light speeds deterioration of photographs, textile or printed or handwritten paper, furniture. Even historic objects should be protected from the excessive light levels, and especially from sunlight and fluorescent light, which contain high amounts of ultraviolet radiation, which is the most harmful form of light. So this is another problem. So we have kept them in furniture. Antique quilts were prepared and kept, and of course other memoriale out of direct sunlight and fluorescent sunlight we have kept out of them. Now temperature. Too much high or too low temperature can also damage rubber, wood, metal, and of course other objects. So we don't store in sheds or attics or basements. Next one is humidity. You know, humidity is too high, encourages pests and molds growth on paper, textile, and other, of course, other materials. So we store them in an ideal place. We do not have AC, but the high ceiling protects them to some extent. Now, pests. This is another problem. We conduct regular inspections of historic objects that attract pests. Now, human beings themselves are a challenge. How? As I told you, human beings are one of the greatest threats to historic objects, not only due to surface compounds such as oil, sweat, and makeup that they carry on their skin, but also because we continue to use historic objects. These oils and other surface substances are transferred to the object during handling. And of course, some of the measures that we are taking is given. We take extra care when we handle those rare objects in the museum. Now, chemical reaction and air pollutants. Certain types of materials such as metal and marble react to chemicals present in the air. This is a particular concern for outdoor objects such as marble, statuary, iron architectural elements. Chemicals such as formaldehyde and acidic gases from wooden compounds can and harm historic objects. So we try to avoid as much as possible. Now, inherent vice. Some objects that are composed of incompatible materials such as wood and leather or wood and paint have built-in deterioration risks. But we conduct regular inspections of these objects for any changes in condition. Now, these are some of the measures for preservations here in our college, not only in the museum. Conclusion. So Newton Natural History Museum is both a treasure and pride of St. Joseph's College, Trichy. Of course, we are grateful to the French missionaries who had the vision, foresightedness, and commitment to contemplate the idea of a museum and collecting so many species. Really, we are grateful to them. It was their hard work. It is the result of their hard work, and we are enjoying. The century-old structure and collections are precious to be protected and well maintained. Of course, St. Joseph's College Jesuit management maintains it well. We are thankful to the institution, and of course, we are grateful to the French missionaries who had the idea of contemplating the museum. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. It was really a great session. I personally associate with the college for the past 6 to 7 years, being a student and being a teacher here. But I didn't know this sort of difficulties exist to run this wonderful heritage institute, that is the Newton Museum. We hope that everything will be solved and it will become one of the monumental highlight of the nation very soon. Dear participants, it is time for your interaction with our resource person. Further, we have the first question from Sanyan. He's asking the difference between heritage behavior and heritage science.
Yeah, thank you for your wonderful question. To be frank with you, I'm not very familiar with the difference between the heritage behavior and heritage science. In my opinion, heritage behavior may be the cultural aspect. Now, heritage science is from the educational or academic aspect, but still it may have a deeper understanding. If you would like to have any more, idea, you are most welcome to share it with us. We also will be happy to listen to you.
Thank you, Father. Next, we have an observation from Dr. Rajesh. It is not actually a question, it is a suggestion that the college can offer a specialized course on heritage along with history, like courses in geography and other things. It is a just suggestion from him.
Thank you for your suggestion, Dr. Rajesh. Yeah, that's good idea. We can think about it, but one or two limitations will be there. Not along with challenges, limitations will be there. We don't have expertise to conduct this program, because unless we go for training or unless we invite some expert people, then we will not be able to do justice to the topic. But very good suggestion. We will take it up. Thank you.
Father, the next question is from Shalini. She has two questions. The first one is, why is the museum called Newton Museum? The second question is, how can the general public not associated with education and research access the Newton Museum?
Yeah, first one is, it was named after that father, okay, Newton, Father Newton, and the French missionary who was very much involved in collecting the objects and in preserving the objects. And of course, he was quite some time, he was also a curator of the building, of the museum. Fine. So that is why it was named after him, after this French missionary who did a lot to preserve these objects in this museum, in this building. Fine. First, for the answer for the first question. Now, second question is, so what is that? Yes. How can the general public can access, yes, and do research on museum or on the objects of the museum? Fine, very good. Good question. Yes, you're most welcome. But the thing is, now it is not open to everybody. Anybody who comes, who requests us, of course, we are allowing them to look at or have a view on the museum. Fine. But so far, we have not publicized this museum or popularized this museum because of not other reasons, because we don't have the regular curator or regular staff in this museum. Of course, we are thinking after the renovation, since the college became the Special Heritage College, particularly for the museum and herbarium, they've awarded, they given some funds. So we have renovated. Recently, we reopened after the renovation, and we will be thinking in that lines too. Fine. If personal requests we get, surely we are willingly, we will be very happy to accept those requests to do some research, particularly in collaboration with some official organizations or agencies, so that mutual benefits will be there. Sure. So that we will be able to disseminate the knowledge, we will be able to disseminate the information that we have in the museum, so that we also will be able to educate the public on heritage sites, on heritage importance, and also heritage management. So that will be, we will be very, very happy to do that. Thank you for your suggestion and question. Yes.
Father, the next question is from Dr. Augustine. He has appreciated your presentation, and his question is there any possibility for our institution to have linkages with other national and international heritage educational institutions?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Good question. Very inspiring question. Yes, you have invited me to think about in that line. Of course, we are thinking in that line. We have to explore the possibilities at the national level and, of course, at the international level too. Now, for example, 2 years back, all the Jesuit universities, we signed a memorandum, fine, to collaborate with each other. Fine. So what we can do that is that we can explore the possibilities. Fine, one thing. Secondly, also secular agencies or government agencies, so that we will be able to collaborate with them for the mutual benefit, and of course for the benefit of this country, of our country, for the public. The primary aim of a museum is to tell the people the importance of the cultural importance of our society, our people, our history of our people through this museum. So that is the primary aim of our museum. We are ready for any such novel ideas or novel initiatives. Surely we will explore such possibilities. Thank you for your idea.
Father, the next question is from Mr. Brishwar Pradhan. How do we consider temple as a heritage product?
Thank you. Surely, temple, see, is a form of not only religious point of view or religious heritage structure, also a cultural heritage structure. When you enter into temple, of course, you get the religious feeling. That's true. That is the that's true. But see, religion and culture cannot be separated. Cannot be separated. So when you enter into the temple, or when you look at the sculptures that are those are placed there in temples, fine, you get a lot of ideas, you get a lot of inspiration, you also get the historical sense of that society, those people, that society and their culture. So in that way, it's a cultural heritage. Yeah.
Father, is there any possibility to open the museum for general public and charge a nominal fee so that it generate revenue?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for your question once again. Yes. Now that we have completed our renovation, we also have another floor on the museum, and we also have completed our college museum on that top floor. Surely we are contemplating the idea, once the lockdown is over, and then we will be able to do the process, we will be able to the other aspects, the technical aspects or the procedural aspects for opening up the museum to the public. Surely we are also contemplating about that.
Father, we have another observation. It's not actually a question. They're asking if they can avail this video, that is your presentation, on YouTube. Probably we will post this in the YouTube channel of St. Joseph's College after the faculty development program gets over. This is just for sharing the information with you, Father.
Yeah, sure. I don't think there will be any problem. Yeah, sure. With pleasure. Yeah, if it is useful for the students, for the public, for anybody, surely it can be. Yeah.
To add a point with it, the entire faculty development program and the sessions of all the 5 days will be posted in YouTube after the day 5 session gets over.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So, Father, these are the interactions we have. That's it with this interaction. I especially thank you, Father, for spending your valuable time with us. We know you're very busy at your office, but still you have selected a wonderful topic and gave a probable insight on the challenges in preserving this museum. Thank you, Father, for the beautiful highlights of the Newton Museum in St. Joseph's College, the interest of the management right from the beginning, locating the museum in the Inigo block, in the physics block, and to the present museum, and renovating the present place. All these shows your curiosity and interest. A sincere thanks to you for highlighting all these points here, and it was really a valid session, Father. Thank you, Father. I also thank the participants who have interacted with the resource person and make the session more complete and 100% true session. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Dear participants, we are finishing the technical session here. Next, we will go for a 15 minutes break. Next, we will go on for a 15 minutes break. The attendance link is posted in the chat box, will be shortly posted in the chat box, and you will have 15 minutes for filling the attendance link. And once we finish the break, we will move on to the technical session 11, which will have Dr. I.C. Gupta.